All right, in this video I'm going to show you two of my favorite hip mobility exercises for decreasing pain associated with piriformis syndrome. Hey everyone, I'm Sebastian at Performance Plate Sports Care, part of the locally world famous chiropractors in Costa Mesa, California. Now in this video we're going to be covering things specific to general piriformis syndrome. I say general because everybody has all their different flares on it. Some people have groin stuff, some people have flank, some people have side of hip, some people have thigh, some people have leg, some people have back and SI, and so on. I'm not talking about those scenarios, and just bear in mind if you do have those, it doesn't mean you can't get better. It just means there might be a slightly more complicated wrinkle to these things, which is why a lot of YouTube videos and general stretches and exercises aren't working for you. But it doesn't mean you can't get better. So in the video we're talking about today, we're talking about right into here. If you are dealing with some of those other problems, we have a webinar on the corner which will help you get a little bit better understanding. So I do strongly encourage you to take advantage of that. Or if at any point in this video you decide you want to work with us for it, virtual or in person, our link is in the description below. So the first few hip mobility exercises are going to be, again, very general, but I think they're very impactful for the people who need them. Now, one exercise we like to use is the hip flexor stretch, and I'm going to show you here as if my left piriformis was the problem. The general thing that we find when people are doing this and they're having problems with it is that they tend to extend their back too much. And what I mean by that is if I pull my shirt tight, you're going to see that if you arch your back with it, actually the motion of the exercise is not really extending the hip as much as it could. It's just extending your back. Okay? If I were to extend my hip, I don't need to incorporate my back arch with it. And sometimes too much tension on the front side of the body, it's just it limits you from how much you can get out of the hip. When actually, if we're trying to mobilize the hip, we should be mobilizing the hip. All right? And so when we have people do this, normally these piriformis tension people, we just encourage them to go elbow on knee and then wrist on wrist, and then just rock the hip forward as if you're trying to dab the wall in front of you with a long stick, a paintbrush of paint. Okay, so I'm going to turn my paintbrush towards the wall in front of me, and then I'm just going to rock my hip towards the wall and return. Rock the paintbrush to the wall and return. Notice this movement isn't very big. That's okay, because this is all the hip range of motion that I have in extension. You may have a lot more or a lot less. Some of you may only get to here. Notice there's still an obtuse angle right here. That's okay. If that's all you got and you feel like this is the area that you're working through the stiffness, this should just feel like stiffness. This shouldn't create thigh stuff or shin things or back things or SI joint. It should just feel like you're stretching your hip. Okay? And to be fair, not everybody needs this stretch because there may not be anything wrong with your hip. There are many different reasons why people have their piriformis pain or piriformis syndrome. Okay, but if your hip is not working super well, this is certainly an easy one that we can use. All right. So normally we have people do this for about usually about like 50, 60 reps a day. Break them up into little chunks, go for more walks, and so on. Okay, but for some people, they actually end up having some of their piriformis pain or tightness mainly because they have back problems or ongoing back problems. Things like spinal stenosis or foraminal stenosis, old disc injuries, many different reasons why they could be having the problems in here. It could be referred pain or directly from nerve root impingement. In that case, immobilizing the hip generally tends to help out in the long term because you're taking workload away from your spine. Now, something else we could do is called a quad rock. I really like quad rock because it's pretty benign, even on people who have things like disc injuries and so on. While we may not want to encourage them to round their back when they're actually in a standing position because it may bother their piriformis area or their back, something like this works pretty well in a sideways position like so. Now, people who have groin pain in the front, this may not work well for you unless you adjust where your knees are or adjust where your feet are, bring them closer. Right? There's variation to every exercise that you can do. Just because it hurts in this position doesn't mean this position won't feel golden, all right? That's the magic of being actually coached. Someone can make the suggestion to you and you're like, oh, that was easy, right? Well, if you're doing it on your own, you have to tinker with it a little bit, all right? And so quad rock, this is a low quad rock from the elbows. This works okay unless you have elbow pain. And there's high quad rock, which is just here. You can go through full range. And this works unless you have wrist pain, right? So another variation that you could use, but overall, you're moving your ball and socket joints, the shoulders and the hips, and greasing them up really well can really help out to making it so the piriformis gets relaxed, or any possibility of referral to the piriformis, such as things like your spinal stenosis and spinal-related conditions. So those are my two favorite hip mobility exercises to do for people dealing with piriformis tension. There's obviously endless possibilities that we can give you, and if you want one-on-one attention, these didn't work for you, we can give that to you too. And so reach out to us via the link in the description below. We have consultations available to see if we can actually take your case. We don't take cases we don't think we can succeed with, so we screen them out beforehand. So contact us. Very least, take advantage of all the free content we have on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. All YouTube channels have a search bar. Use the search bar and put in whatever topic you care about. We have literally hundreds and hundreds of videos. We'll see you guys next time.